So, seated riding. Today, we're gonna go over the basics of seated riding.
Every day's a new day, live it like your last day. It's okay to feel great. You're all jumping on the new wave. Time goes by, but I'll stay stuck up in my old ways.
Before we start, I'd like to remind you guys to subscribe and to like the video so that you can support the channel and I can come out with more videos like this. We are out here in the beautiful Prospect Park. I love this scenery back here. This is the skating rink. It is 30 degrees right now, and we're gonna go over some seated riding techniques. The best way to learn seated riding is to learn while seated, because the standing transition, which we'll go over later, is a little bit more challenging if you've never sat before on an electric unicycle. The first thing you want to do is make sure that you are comfortably seated on the wheel. Preferably you have a seat on your wheel. Sometimes it works with or without, but it is much easier to have a seat and much more comfortable to have a seat. You want to make sure you are in the center of the wheel. The next thing you want to make sure is you have the correct positioning on the pedals. So this will vary depending on your size, depending on the size of the wheel, and depending on the pedal. For mine, my toes are here in the front because this area right here is what I use to steer. You want to make sure that your heels is up because your toes become the pressure point for your movement. Before I get into what the other leg should be doing, it is important to note and to remember that your most dominant leg is the leg that is on the pedal. So the next thing you want to do is to make sure that your least dominant leg is on the floor. Surprisingly, it is actually easier to learn seated than it is to learn standing. And that is because your center of gravity is more central to the wheel. Now that you got your least dominant leg on the floor, you are ready. So the next thing is the kickoff. And with the kickoff, you want to make sure that your dominant leg is stable on the pedal. You want to make sure that your heel is pressed against the wheel, and then you just kick off. Balanced. When you start, if you want to keep your hands like this, so that you understand your balance and understand what the center is, that would be really helpful. So what you want to do is kick off like this. If you already ride an electric unicycle and you know how it is standing, then you know that if you kick off, the wheel is going to do something. The wheel is going to turn some way because there's going to be some unequal pressure in some area. So as you practice the kickoff, you want to understand where you're putting most of your pressure so that you can change it when you do it again. So you see, for instance, most people that start seated, they would push down, you see, and it will push the wheel away from them. So it will go to the left. So if it's going to the left on your most dominant foot, you want to put a little less pressure on here and put a little more pressure towards the center of the wheel. So, boom. I'm gonna do it again. The kickoff, you want to kick and you want to, like this. Hey, hey. I don't know if I'm gonna put that in there. Now that we learned how to ride seated, starting from seated, I want to show you guys the transition from standing to seated. So standing to seated while moving is a little bit challenging because it's a positional change as you sit down. You're not sitting down the way you would sit down on a couch, which is back. You're actually going straight down to the wheel. So your feet have to adjust, your knees have to adjust, and your body have to adjust. So here it is. Standing, seated. I'm gonna do it again. Standing, seated.
to pray for you. Even when there's nothing, you always make up something. You know I try to pray for you. Even when we're touching, you always make a fuss. Okay, I'm patient. Don't test my patience. I'm trying to pace it. You kept me waiting. I try to pray for you. Okay, I'm patient. It cannot wait 'cause you test my patience. I try to pray for you. For you.